What they don't seem to understand is how it's fake. Here's our money that we put to government bonds. We are the government. This government is not using that money for anything on the budget. And then they come back for our taxes, right, to pay the same interest rate. So why do you think you're making money? Your taxes are being taken, you're giving your money so that your taxes can be taken. It makes no sense at all. Why are we doing it? And we've done it to the extent of 5.4 trillion.
Are they also in collusion with government?
No, they don't understand.
For the second time in a row, Citizen TV journalist has been on fire and he has been teared apart by Kenyans online. This is following a debate which has sparked a lot of reaction in Kenya and even from Kenyans abroad. This is after Citizen TV Explain a Show, which normally happens after 9, hosted the billionaire himself, Jimmy Wanjigi. At the moment, Jimmy Wanjigi is at a controversial spot because he is actually being accused of funding the Gen Z. But he, to himself, he said that he supported the Gen Z with blood donation, water, and he paid the bills for those who were arrested, the cash bills. And that's what he was being accused of. But Jimmy Wanjigi now is out there and he was in this debate in Citizen TV and he was talking about a lot of sense and why the government is after him. The first reason which notably came out is that this guy knows a lot about bonds, and it seems that most of his investment is bond, and bonds is where the individuals give the government money in terms of bond and they get some interest out of it.
Infrastructure bond, and I hear they want to try and raise another one very soon. I advise everybody to stay away from it. It is odious. And if you want to do it, no problem. There will come a time you realize you have sunk yourself.
So you're saying
this is odious. It does not go to any infrastructure project. They took a 200 and something early this year. What roads are being built here? Where is the prospectus? Where is it in the budget that this bond is going to fund these roads? There's nothing going on here. William Ruto's last budget had 800 billion for development. The actuals are only 315 he spent. He has no money for development.
At some point, the billionaire himself said that there is something wrong with President Ruto government because they are not really being accountable on what they are spending or on how they are spending, because there is no development which is notable, yet there is a lot of billions which are being allocated. So he has warned investors on going ahead to invest in certain bonds which are going to be out very soon. He says that they are very audacious and not something which will be very viable in the future because the government is grappling on some things because they are very low on cash. But the problem of the day is that the journalist himself now was really in an heated debate instead of being the moderator. Seems like he was trying to make a point, and this comes back to the first journalist who was accused a few days ago.
If you were president today, what would be the 1, 2, 3 things that you would do to solve the crisis in the country?
I'll tell you. The first thing is that I would cut off the chain of debt. Because I want you to understand that in as much as all this is going on, I told you we only had a deficit of 1.3. Kenyans, up until today, have paid 9.8 trillion towards that debt and still owe 11 trillion. It is something I would cut off like yesterday. And that frees up government money to be able to provide services to Kenyans and stimulate the economy by taking money back to the people. And that is what you call now economic liberation. The one thing that has not been understood by many people up until today is what period we're in. We went through the political rights period, which is about cutting up this cake for seats, as they are trying to do now. Nobody cares about it because we passed it. The 2010 Constitution gave us our rights. Now we are into the economic rights period, where we define economic models.
Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi went ahead to say that he wants to free up the country from the debt so that he can achieve something called economic liberation, because that's the problem affecting Kenya as at the moment. So one of his key factor things is that he wants Ruto to leave the office because his government is clearly not doing what is supposed to be done. And according to Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi, economic liberation is something which will free up money so that the money can circulate back to the original owners, who are the Kenyan citizens. In that is detailed discussion, the only problem that arose was how the conduct of the journalist, which is being accused online. For me, I feel like sometimes the journalists become very passionate about the topic they want to talk about. That's how they end up veering off the track. But so Mr. Wanjigi were really in an heated discussion, and here is some of it.
And jailed. Is this a local problem, or
Yvonne,
is this
Yvonne,
an international
we've
problem?
got assist.
And you have to know,
Yes.
certainly, there will be consequences because they will look at Kenya as a credit risk.
No.
They will increase the credit rates. So
You want us to live in fear.
no,
I don't
it's
live
not
in
fear.
fear.
No,
You're
it's
saying
not fear.
fear of this happening.
No,
I'm
Jimmy,
sorry.
Jimmy, it's not fear.
Let me answer.
There are
Let me
consequences,
answer.
though.
Let me answer.
How would you deal with
Let me
those?
answer. Let me answer. First and foremost, forget about that fear-mongering. Right? Then what? Those Gen Zs that went to parliament, what did they fear? A bullet? And after the bullet, they still went into the chamber. They succeeded. And it's very sad that they were killed. Over 200 have been killed. We mourn them. They are heroes. Let us not live in fear. What consequences? We can live within our...
Let's stop living in fear. That's what Jimmy Wanjigi has just said, and that's what he has advised. So what do you think about the heated discussion between the two? Because I feel like the Citizen TV journalist was very unprofessional by trying to sell the fear that the international community, or trying to justify the statement of the billionaire Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi, when he said that the international community just spread fear so that they can keep siphoning us millions of money. We are in debt trap and we are in chained, and this needs to stop. That was what Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi was saying.
Nobody talking to anything else is lying to you, because we can't even reschedule it. We can't even package it all and find softer terms that we can pay it over 200 years. It is a monster. It is going to chain us. It is finishing us. And I'll tell you what it creates. It creates what you're seeing in this country: inflation and recession. They're two evils. Two evils at the same time.
So do you agree with what Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi was saying? Because I think this man he was oozing a lot of wisdom, but the Kenyan citizens were very angry with the Yvonne Okwara because she was very unprofessional in moderating the debate, which was very heated on Citizen TV, because she kept interrupting Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi when he was answering some important question. She even went ahead to tell him, please let me answer. Wait for me to answer the question before you start interrupting me, because you are interrupting me every time I'm trying to make very bold statements or very important statements to Kenyan. For me, I think that was very correct, because this madam was every time now and then trying to be like she's being interviewed, yet she was the interviewer, she was the moderator. She was asking very rude questions, but whenever Mr. Jimmy wants to answer, she will try to ask more or tell him the consequences of what he is thinking. And I feel that was very unprofessional. What do you think about that interview? Please comment down below.